All right, so hopefully you can see my PowerPoint now about Fiveable Environmental Science Open House, which is where we're at. So this is me. I live in Bozeman, Montana, but I am from California originally. I moved here about 2 years ago. So I saw that there were some people from California in the chat. I was actually lived in Wrightwood, which is a tiny little town outside of LA, but in the Southern California realm of things. But I went to school in Southern California and Northern California, up at Humboldt State and then down at LMU. So all over the place really for all my other Californians. And I started teaching in 2011. Before I was a teacher, I went to school, I got a degree in marine biology. And I did the whole marine biology thing for a while. I worked at SeaWorld, I worked at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, I did all of the shows and the dolphin shows and all presenting and all that stuff. So that was really fun, but I decided to go back to teaching in 2011, and I've taught AP Environmental Science for 3 years, but I've been classroom teaching for 8 years, every science you could think of at a very small school. So really have experience working in all of it. And then I spent 4 years working in building a remote learning school. So before all of COVID happened and everyone needed remote learning, we kind of jumped into it early and built an entire school that was, you could come into the classroom sometimes, or you could stay home and learn for other subjects. So that school is actually in a really good place right now because they're all set up for that. So I know what it's like to be learning online, and I know what it's like to be learning different courses online, because some things are a little bit easier than others. For everyone, it's different. So I might find it easy to, learn English online, but I might have a really hard time with math. And that's maybe why you guys are reaching out to Fiveable and looking at us as someone who could maybe support you in certain subjects. So we're here for you. We can help you in whatever subject you feel like you might need a little bit more support in. What you can expect from this course specifically, it's 15 weeks long. We're going to go over all of the information from environmental science that you might see on the test. So really sort of like a crash course of what you need to know to do well on that exam, because I know that is sort of the, carrot at the end of what we're going for, is doing well on that exam. Once a week, I will talk to you guys live and we will go over information. And with environmental science, Fiveable is really lucky. We have a lot of information already pre-recorded. So for some of those weeks, we already have streams that you can access for free that go over all of the information kind of already, which will open it up for us to really talk about human impact and what that means, and getting really like into a deep dive of that information. So that's really neat that we have all those resources already available for us. Every day there's going to be a tagged article where you can read. I know that we all learn differently. Sometimes we learn best from listening to someone, and sometimes we learn best if we can get an article. And by article, I mean similar to like a textbook. So your factual information that you can write down, you can highlight, you can make note cards, that kind of thing. We'll have that for you as well, just similar to a textbook, but specifically for what you need for AP. And a lot of those were written in-house at Fiveable. So those are really, really going to be supportive for you and not have a lot of extra that you're not going to need to know or confuse you. And then we're also going to do 2 discussion questions a week. And that is it was really important for environmental science because unlike other sciences, and a lot of what we learn, we have to talk about socially. So it kind of brings it back, like, what is environmental science? And the difference than maybe just like an earth science course is that we're going to talk specifically about how humans are impacting that. So what that looks like. Instead of just learning the nitrogen cycle for the sake of learning the nitrogen cycle and memorizing all the different pieces, we're going to learn the nitrogen cycle. We'll review it because you probably already learned it, in bio or in an earth science course. But then we're going to talk about how are humans messing up the nitrogen cycle? What is giant farms doing to the influx of nitrogen that's then causing eutrophication of our rivers and dead zones in the Gulf? So that's kind of where we're going to take it to that next step. And in those discussion questions, it's really cool that we're located all over the place because we can look at how we see these things in our backyard. And I know some of us are right in the middle of a city, so it's hard to even see any natural environment or impact to that natural environment. And some of us have a farm right outside of our window and can see the airplanes flying low over and spraying poison right onto those plants right next to where we live. So it's really cool that we can all bring that in together and share that, and that's what the discussions are. So hopefully we can post pictures of what we're looking at and bring that in together. And then we're also going to practice the FRQ. So I know like this last year, that was a huge thing because that was the entire test, but it's always something that's really intimidating for students is the writing like an essay about it, because it all has to come from you. It's not, you know, choosing an answer that's provided. So we're going to get a ton of practice with doing that. And those will be graded, and by graded, I mean, you will know how you did, because the course is not stressful in that it has a grade attached to it. But you will know, you know, how you did if this was the real test, you know, where you would have been. I think that's really helpful for us because as students in any subject, we want to know if we're not getting it, if we're missing the mark, let us know. And then that way we can review, figure out what we need to do better to get the number up, get the grade up. So what kind of things will be provided every week? Again, this kind of talks about what we just looked at. So this is that 1 hour live session. There's going to be all of those linked resources, those articles, those pre-made videos, and then outside links as well. We've already identified like YouTube videos that other people have made that are right on topic so that you know exactly what to watch. So you're not just endlessly searching YouTube trying to find a video that matches this content. We've already done that for you. And then we'll provide you that feedback with your assessment and office hours so that you can ask us questions. If there's something you're learning in class and you're really stumped on it, you can bring that to us. And then opportunities to talk to your peers. You can bring those questions to them. You can say, hey, is anyone else learning about this subject right now? I'm totally lost. Can you explain it to me? And have that conversation. So really building that support group online of other students that are going through the same class as you. This is an example of kind of what we're looking at that you'll receive every week. So this is what will be sent to you as far as like assignments and resources that are linked. So again, those discussion posts and when the streams are going to be. And it's not necessarily on a Monday. This is just an example of what it would look like. My advice for you going into environmental science is to be excited. This course is really cool. I think it's unique in all of the sciences that you get to take in high school because it's not just memorizing facts. And the whole like, why do we need to know this? You're not going to ask that in environmental science because you'll be able to see these things around you. And human impact is so important right now, and what we're doing as an individual or as a country or corporations, and how that's going to impact our lives in the future or our children's lives or our air quality. It's really important. So we're going to look at specifically what those different things are. And yes, so get excited. It's a really cool course. It's very interesting, and I find that things that are really interesting tend to be easier to learn. And then we'll provide that support with the harder kind of like pieces that you have to learn to support those bigger concepts. And is it worth it to take this course with Fiveable? Absolutely. We're not going to put any more stress on you as far as grades or things like that. We are here to support you. So what I see this course being for you is if you are taking it at your traditional school, whether that's online or in person, you're going to show up to class knowing things that maybe the other students don't. And you're going to show up feeling like you're an expert in these subjects and that you are prepared and ready to go. And who doesn't want to feel like that? You know, when the teacher does start talking about air pollution, you're going to be like, oh, I got this. I remember when I learned about all of that with Fiveable, and it's just going to help you be more confident and ready to go in class. Or if you're taking this on your own, it's going to provide you that structure that's going to show you exactly what you need to be studying in order to do well on the exam. So just kind of helping you organize yourself and be ready to go. All right. My biggest problem with teaching is talking fast. I know that. So we'll pause and ask if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to bring up.
Jenny, I'll start you off with one that somebody just shared. So someone said they're self-studying the course, and they want to know how can they maintain the knowledge all the way to the spring. So they're going to have access to your resources even after the course ends, but do you have any tips for like a self-studier that wants to just kind of like retain everything so they can take the test in May?
Right. I know that seems like it would be really intimidating. Just a little bit of background. I went to school in Australia for a while, and they stopped teaching a month before the exams. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? You know, I want to take the test right now. I'm not going to learn it anymore. But you know what? It's actually a really cool opportunity because we're going to front load a ton of information. You'll have everything. And then I feel like a lot of times we don't really have time to process it. So that's a really unique situation there to then, like we said, you'll be able to make yourself the note cards. You'll be able to write all the practice essays. You'll be able to do all of that stuff, and you'll have a ton of time in which to do it. So sort of think about it as if the course then is going to just give you all of the information really fast, and then you'll be able to have a really long time to kind of sit down with it and process it. If I was in that situation, if I was that student and had the ability, I would be printing out all of those articles and putting them in a binder. So I had like my own textbook type of thing and working on it that way. So I do think it will be okay. I don't think that you'll forget the information in that time. And then also all of our videos and everything are still there. So you'll still be able to, go and watch all those and review them.
Totally. We got one request, just so you know, someone wants to make sure that you're going to be teaching the spring course too. So I said, hopefully you will be, because I think some folks are going to wait till spring and they want to make sure it's still going to be you.
Yeah, I understand. And that too is a really good strategy. That way you're kind of, if you are taking it in a classroom, you're getting it kind of slowly the whole way through, and then we'll be doing it again
You can cram it
at
in
the
the
end
spring. Yeah.
as a crash course. One thing too, just I know we talked about like the different things that are going on, and of course it will be a little bit faster for students to just because like in a classroom you're doing a lot of assignments like labs, and you're taking time to have like the classroom discussions and things like that. And so we will be more kind of like getting all the information really, really fast. So that's a neat aspect as well.
Yeah, and you can work at your own pace. So like if you have a really busy week at your own school, maybe you have a lot of projects due, a lot of quizzes, a lot of tests, you can sort of say, okay, I'm going to catch up on Fiveable another time, because all the information is still going to be there for you, and we'll be recording all the live streams, recording all the office hours. So if you can't be there live, it's no big deal. Let's see, a question just came in. Are there going to be virtual labs in this Fiveable course? And if so, how will they work?
So we're not going to be doing virtual labs because you're not getting like your AP credit through us. But we will be looking at the concepts covered in the labs. So not exactly doing the labs. And the main difficulty with that is just that supplies, making sure that everyone would have access to those supplies at home. But we will be doing the same content covering as would be covered in the labs.
Just out of curiosity, if you're enrolled in the class already for the fall, can you put a 1 in the chat? And if you're not enrolled, but you're thinking about it, put a 2. That'll give us a sense of who's already in and who's thinking about it. So we have a bit of a mix. So folks who are a 2, what questions can Jenny answer for you to help you decide if this course is going to be useful? We've got a good number of 2s. Here's one question I have, Jenny, that I think I would have if I were a 2. If I'm taking this course at my school this year, what could I get by also taking it with Fiveable? Like, why do I need to take it 2 different ways if I'm already taking it at my school?
Yeah, well, so I think there's like multiple different ways to answer that based on the student's specific individual experience this year, because everyone has a different experience. So
Totally.
let's just go with the traditional classroom. Let's say that you are back full-time, which I don't think any of us really are, but if you were back full-time, what's this going to do for you? And for me, I think the biggest thing it's going to be able to do is build confidence, because like we said, taking it right now in the fall, you're going to get all that information before anyone else. So I threw out air pollution before, but let's say, yeah, big farming. So let's say your teacher is going to talk about farming next week. You're going to walk in there already knowing all of the irrigation methods, their pros and cons, and you know, everything that impacts that would have. And so that's going to build your confidence as a student. It's going to make you feel like you can participate more in the classroom and be set up to get better feedback from your teacher. So you're not hearing it for the first time and being assessed on it by your teacher right then. You're going to be able to hear it again for the second time, really practice. Obviously your teacher is going to give you practice FRQs and quizzes and things like that. And so you'll be able to really get like a second assessment on that information and see, you know, did you get it when you heard it the second time around? So I think that's going to be a big help. And then for students that aren't going back full time, AP classes, you know, there's a lot of information. They're a challenge, and anything that you can do to provide yourself with a little bit more support. And I know that there are like books and different things that you can get, but it's hard to organize all that information by yourself and parcel it out, right? And also have the motivation to do it, right? Like, are you going to go sit in your room and read the study book? But if you know that we're going to be live at a certain time, you're much more likely to come on and see what's going on, and you're much more likely to take the discussions and read what other people are posting and interact. I think we all kind of miss that interaction. So those are probably the biggest reasons why I would join, as well as, you know, taking it at a school.
Yeah, awesome. That actually made a little flurry of more questions come in. So let's see. What is the average time commitment per week, do you think, for the 5able course?
So it's really up to you as a student. And again, like, they're not, we're not grading you. We're not checking to make sure that you read the articles or anything like that. Our biggest thing is support and not stress. So your teacher at school might be kind of stressing you out with all your homework and stuff. And we are not that. We don't want to do that. We're trying to provide you with different things. So like I said, I would be printing these things out and making a binder. And then that way, if you don't have time to look at it, you know, right now, and you want to look at it 2 weeks before the exam, you've got it then. So we're providing you with resources. And I think that that's kind of like maybe the biggest difference.
Yeah, and the time is sort of like, depends on how much time you want to spend. And maybe you don't want to spend it in September, but you're going to spend it in April.
Exactly. So like weekly, let's say, so 2 discussions, those would take maybe 10 minutes each to write your answer. The essay could take you anywhere from, I'm just going to sit down and write it, just whatever is in my brain, you know, 10 minutes to, you know, maybe it's going to take you an hour, and you're going to get all your papers out and you're going to get your information and you're going to really lay it out. So it really depends on the student and what you want to do for that. And then our hour-long live stream. So I'd say anywhere from maybe an hour and a half a week to 3 hours if you really want to watch all the videos and do all the things. So.
Oh, nothing. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Do you suggest that students take notes throughout the course?
I do. I personally have always learned better by writing things down and writing things in color. Oh, my different color pens, gel pens.
Same.
That for me, yeah, that always helps. So like I said, I'd have my binder, I'd print the article, I'd have a paper behind it, and during any sort of discussion, you could even print the slides out because those will be available for you, and write notes on different things that we talked about. There's definitely science behind using different color pens to help your brain remember different content. So highlighting all that stuff really does help. So I would do that, but again, you don't have to. You could just watch the video and relax and hang out, and it's up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you. So 2 questions, because another good one just came in. This person said, I'm self-studying, so I'm trying to choose which course would be best for me. I've heard that this is a good class to take. How would this class help me academically?
Ooh, it's a good question.
Yeah.
So I've had students that have done self-study for this course before, and I just taught, it was the school I was at was not offering it as a full-time course, but I met with them and tutored them 2 days a week after school as they self-studied. And I think it is a really good course to self-study because, again, I'm going to say that interest level. So these are things that are really happening. You can see them. I think that sometimes things that are maybe like a math might be hard to self-study just because if you don't get it, what do you do?
Right.
You know, then that could be difficult. But I do believe that with this course, it is things that are real life situations that people are experiencing, and you can find a lot of information and support for. So like, even if we didn't happen to cover something, there's YouTube videos on it, there's articles, and, you know, things like climate change, or you could find what is that anywhere.
Right.
You wouldn't necessarily need like a textbook or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say, I think environmental science is a good one to self-study with. And I think that it is the tricky bits as far as like getting specifically what they're looking for on the FRQ, that we can support you with.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger concepts, I think you could probably figure those out by yourself fairly easy for this course.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Last question. What review books as a supplement would you suggest for somebody who is self-studying?
That is a good question. I don't necessarily love a ton of the review books because I feel like the amount of information covered is more than what's actually on the test.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a specific name of one that I can offer you right now. I would say any environmental science textbook would be good for reading, but again, that's like a whole textbook.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the review books that I found are like very specific into the science of it, whereas
Mm-hmm.
on the actual test, the questions are more social and like
Oh.
political oriented questions, because this is more of a social science class than it is like
Mm-hmm.
science class if you really look at the information. So yeah, I don't have a specific one that I would say I could recommend.
That's so interesting though, because I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have thought about that, you know?
Yeah, I think when a lot of people think of this course, they think it's going to be like plate tectonics or something, you
Right.
know, because it's like an earth science,
Like
and it's
earth science. Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more of like social impact of how, you know, 90% of the people, I just made that number up, but a large amount of the people who are going to be negatively impacted by air pollution are people who are under the poverty line. And that's something that, you know, we really don't think about a lot, but, you know,
Yeah.
Malibu is not going to have a ton of air pollution,
Right.
whereas downtown in a city is. And so that's more of what the course is looking at is how do we change the planet, and then how does it really impact us, and who does it impact? And
Yeah.
that's the part that really is kind of, it's sad, and it'll motivate us to make a change.
Yeah. To make change. Oh, so cool. All right, everybody. That's 30 minutes. So I'm going to say thank you so much to Jenny. That was so awesome. If you haven't signed up for this course and you want to, you can sign up at courses.fiveable.me. And if you use the code O10, you'll get $10 off. And that's for any course. So if you loved hearing from Jenny, but then you're like, you know, I'm also interested in music theory. Amanda mentioned that at the beginning. Sign up for music theory too. And I'm also going to put my email here. If you think of any questions, it's kate@fiveable.me. I hope everybody has a great night and a great week ahead. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.